I am an awesome father of 4 semi-awesome children. Daryl, Destiny, Devin, and Dallas. They're all names. Their names start with D, L, and W, every last one of them. If I have any more, which I don't plan on, they'll be the same thing. So, but I'm 37 years old. I am a professional driver, a truck driver. I'm a minister, and I also own a window washing service. And I also have t-shirts for sale also. Jesus did it. I didn't bring any with me. Sorry about that, cuz. I didn't bring any with me because, well, this event wasn't about me. It's about trying to empower our youth. I think other people are coming in. They're coming in? Could you sign in for me?
Sure.
Thank you. Welcome. I was saying, my name is Daryl. I'm from Columbus, Georgia, and I came up here at the behest of one of my friends, Ms. Lizandra Randolph. I was recruited to talk about depression and stress in today's youth and the things that cause it, and how could we as adults, as people, combat it, and how could we try to fight it to make sure that our children grow up a balanced life. First of all, I gotta tell you, when I was younger, and even as an adult, I have dealt with stress on my own. I have dealt with depression on my own. And there are different levels of depression. There are different things that cause depression and things like that. But we're not gonna go too deep because I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything like that. And I don't have formal training in that area, but I can tell you from a man's perspective and being a father's perspective of what it is that I've seen and the different things that I've seen and through research that I've gone through that could be caused by stress and depression, and something that can cause stress and depression. So to start off, we're just going to talk about some of the signs of depression. And I got my little notes right here. Some of the signs that we may see in our children as far as depression goes is poor performance in school, withdrawal from friends, family, and activities. You may have one kid that loved football at one point, and then they hit a wall, a depressive wall, to get to a depressive state where football is not fun anymore, or basketball may not be fun, or things like that. Sadness and hopelessness is one of the things. Low energy and motivation. If you just see somebody that you can't get them to do anything for whatever reason, chances are they might be in a depressive state. Children that are angry and full of rage all the time. People pleasing, trying to fit the narrative of what your parents a standard that you just feel like you can't reach, whether it be your parents, a coach, a teacher, whatever the case may be. These things may cause depression. Low self-esteem or guilt, lack of focus. That's a big one. It goes hand in hand with like your schoolwork not being done correctly. I mean, most people can make straight A's if they just focus on making straight A's if they really want to. Restlessness, a child just can't seem to go to bed at night for whatever reason. Poor eating and sleeping habits, substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, things like that. Unable to deal with authority, whether it's public authority or private authority as far as the police or your parents. And that's not always the case all the time. And the most horrifying one is suicidal thoughts. These things happen in our youth every day, and a lot of times we as parents and teachers, preachers, doctors, lawyers, we overlook these things because most oftentimes we're dealing with it ourselves. But the thing about it is we aren't honest with the youth and telling them that they were having these issues because we don't want to look weak. We don't want to look as if we don't have it together, but a lot of times you are more weak by not dealing with these things and allowing your youth or your children to understand what it is that you're dealing with. Because whether we want to accept it or not, our children and the children that are around us, whether we tell them to do something or not, they're most oftentimes going to follow what they see us doing. So I can tell my son, don't drink, don't drink, don't drink, as I ask him to go get me a beer out of the refrigerator. And then when he grows up to be an alcoholic or whatever, I can't say, well, I told him not to do it. Well, I told it with my mouth, but I also showed it with my actions. So really, I'm being hypocritical. And so now, it's just like, how in the world could you expect for him or her, whomever, to operate in a way that you can't operate on yourself? So we're just going to unpack a few of these. I got 45 minutes to do what I need to do. So we're going to start with school and academics. And I got to be honest, I got a 15-year-old, and she's a girl. Not trying to offend the ladies in here, but she's a girl, and she's a real girl. She's got emotions all over the place. She's gone through puberty. She started to get interested in boys now. I go to the gun range. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I have a 10-year-old daughter also, and it's only a matter of time before she gets into these things. But when I was doing my research on this right here, the first thing I did was, I'm like, well, I'm not a teenager or a youth in today's time. 37 years old. I haven't been a teenager in like 5 years. So I went to the people that I knew could give me some good answers and some real answers. So I went to my daughter and I asked her about this. I said, school and academics. I asked her, I said, well, tell me how school and academics can make you stressful or depressed. And the first thing she said was the schoolwork. I said, well, what do you mean by that? She said, because the schoolwork is stressful. The schoolwork is out of hand. So that we really don't get taught anything, and the things that we are taught, they really don't make any sense. And so, of course, I poked and prodded and tried to get more, and I found out, and I agree with her, the standardized testing. Now, I'm an opponent of it. I don't really support standardized testing because every person in this room learns differently. No matter what happens, there's no standard way of learning. Most people learn their ABCs by singing. Some learn just by saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that. And they get it the first time. But she said that, the standardized testing is one of those things that really, really got to her because she's good at the book work. She's great at the book work, but she stumbles when it comes to taking a test. Whereas my 11-year-old, my 10-year-old, she can not even study or do anything like that and make 100 on the test just by listening in class. So it's just, some people just aren't able to take tests. So therefore, there's no standard way of getting people to learn. And she also said, this is something I found very interesting, and I also agree with, that the teachers make a very big impact on the student's life because, and I also believe this, I also believe that teachers nowadays are just that, teachers. But when I went to school, we had educators. And there's a difference in being a teacher and an educator. A teacher is somebody who can grab a book, open it up, say, turn the page so-and-so, do this right here, and then give you a test on it and expect for you to learn. But when I was in school, I had educators that came to your desk, they kept you out of school, they do all of these things to make sure that you got it. Because they knew that their reputation, their job, everything was on the line. Now, it's so bad in public school systems and things like that. These people are just coming in to get a job. They go to school, get a career, get a degree, coming in to get a job just so they can be off during the summer. And really, there's no such thing as being off when you're an educator, when you're a teacher, because you are always in that mindset. You are always in that mode. I know some today that are in the public school, they invest on their own. I can't necessarily blame the teacher because they're not compensated for what it is that they do. But at the same time, I think if you're going to be in that position, make it your position. Come on in. Make it your position. Own it. And she told me that. She said most teachers nowadays don't accept ownership of their position. They don't accept ownership of the classroom. They don't accept ownership of the coursework. And she's 16, about to be 16 in August. And I've noticed that things going downhill when it came to her and her schoolwork because, and I was asking her, what's going on? She had, this past school year, she was getting an F in social studies. I'm like, it's history. All you gotta do is remember what happened 100 years ago and you'll be fine. She said, well, it's a teacher. I was like, I don't believe you. I said, I think you're just playing all this type of stuff. But another teacher came in the middle of the year, a student teacher, and she walked away with an A. So I was like, okay, well, maybe there's some truth to what you're saying. And I know it's like that. I'm a person, I can't learn unless I ask questions. Some people can just sit there, don't say a word and get it. I gotta be like, okay, could you explain that to me again? But if you're not patient, if you don't have the compassion and things like that as a teacher, it won't happen. You're not gonna get it. Me now, being a minister, I don't think that I'm a preacher. I don't think that I'm an evangelist. I'm a teacher. If you want to know something, I can teach it to you, and I can make sure that you get it, because that's what I was called to do. I'm not, anybody else or anything like that, and I don't put myself in a position to be somebody else. I follow what God gave me to do, and I try to teach it to make sure that people understand and know that this is what it is and you believe it. And another thing she said to me, and it was kind of hard for me to hear, but it was honest. She said, parents. She said, your parents, when it comes to your schoolwork, make all the difference also. She said, because you want to live up to the expectation, you want to please your parents, but at the same time, if you don't get it, you just don't get it. And she's like, most parents nowadays really don't know what's going on in the school. And their parents don't know what's going on because parents don't go to the schools. Parents don't go to the schools and engage the teachers and ask them what's happening, what's going on, show me this, help me to understand this so that I can make sure that I can teach my children accordingly. And so she told me those few things and it made a lot of sense. Moving on, number 2, something else that really causes depression and stress in children, and these are in no particular order, is status and fitting in, social and peer pressure. And I guess you can include media and things like that in that also, because right now, where we lose as parents is we allow our students, our children, to be raised by the TV. And so if my cousin back here can provide Jordan for all of her children, but I can only provide, Reeboks, if my children don't have a sense of self from me, then they won't understand and know that that's not your identity. And so the pressure of these kids coming to school, they shining, they fresh, they doing all this type of stuff, it's like, okay, my parents can't provide that. But it's not my job as a parent to compete socially with somebody that I don't know how she may have done it. I don't know if they're stolen. I don't know if she's in debt buying these things, all of these things. So we as parents, we have to make sure that we give our children their identity when it comes to their social lives, because I can't let my son's friends raise him. I can't let my son's friends give him an identity, because it's going to be flawed, it's going to be marred, it's not going to be from a pure place. It's going to be only the perspective that they know. And it's kind of hard. I read a quote somewhere, and it makes a lot of sense. It's easier to build children than to repair broken adults. And that makes a lot of sense, because being broken, having a low self-esteem, things like this, that's not easy to come out of. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do, simply because you just don't know how to do it sometimes. You just don't know, like, okay, what do I do? And another person who doesn't have an awareness of self can't give you an identity, something that they don't have. And so now, here it is, we end up with people depressed, stressed out, and things like that, because they feel they can't measure up. And honestly, these things that they're trying to measure up to are empty, because as soon as those Jordans get a scuff on them, they're not fresh anymore. And then you can do with them. Then you're going to start playing basketball in them, and your parents going to look at you like, okay, I spent X amount of dollars on those shoes, and now you're tearing them up. You're going to have more stress in your life, more depression, because they're going to come down on your head then what you're going to do? So it's our jobs as parents to not allow status and fitting in and things like this to creep in to our children's lives, to avoid those things. And a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, honestly, I believe can be avoided. It can truly be avoided, but some things are clinical. There's nothing you can do about that. Some things you need medicine for. You can't do anything about it. But the things that we can control, the things that we can do, we should do. And I know we work, we go to school, we do all of these things, but being a parent is full time. Whether you're a father, whether you're a mother, a step parent, which is a thankless position, but it's important. Sometimes, some people spend more time with their step parents than they do their regular parents. And that's okay. But a lot of this stuff we can avoid by being proactive instead of reactive. And I think we spend a lot of our time being reactive in these days and times instead of walking up on our children, grabbing them and say, hey, I love you, and I like you just the way you are, and you don't have to fit in with anybody but who God called you to be. If we do that, I think that we'll have so much more balance when it comes to our children. Number 3, success and failure and disappointment. Success can make people depressed, just like failure and disappointment can make people depressed. But I give you an example like Michael Jackson. Everybody knows who he is. He's the greatest entertainer that ever lived. Michael Jackson had this album called Thriller. I'm sure y'all heard it before. It had some great songs on it. It was a very successful album. That's one of the highest selling albums ever. It sold over 40 million albums, right? That album came out in the 80s. But the album after that, not many people remember because it didn't sell 40 million copies. It was bad and something else. I can't even remember. But anyway, but that album, that one album was so successful, it set the bar so high that he could never reach it again. And so, because once you meet something, once you set a standard that high and you can't reach it again, something happens to you up here because you know that you're capable. You know that you're able. But when it doesn't work out, who knows why the album went like that? Who knows why it happened like that? It was a great album. I had it. Probably still got it. I don't know. But anyway, but if your next don't do as much as the first, now you put yourself in a position of, okay, what's wrong with me? You start looking at yourself, you start internalizing these things. It's like, okay, I know that I can do it because I've done it before. And so that's how success, whether it be, like I've seen people bake brownies. They take them to the church bake sale and they sell out right then. But then they go back with cupcakes and nobody even touch them. Now it's like, okay, what's wrong with me? I know I can bake. Well, the anointing, the time, or whatever was on those brownies. You know, since you can't reproduce that batch of brownies again, you got to do what you got to do with the cupcakes this time. And so, success, failure, and disappointment, I think they go hand in hand because we allow ourselves to deal with failure differently. Like I've been rejected for jobs that I know that I qualify for. And I've gotten jobs I was overqualified for. But I think I see more hurt and depression coming from the things that I got rejected for because that's what my heart wanted. Even though it may not have been the time, even though it may not have been the season, that's what we do. We look at it as failure when really, and disappointment, when really it could be a blessing that I didn't walk into that season or didn't walk into those things simply because who knows what would have happened down that road. And I have to trust God enough to say, you know what? You know far better than I do. You can see further than I can. So therefore, I can't allow what seemed to be failure or disappointment to stop me from going forward. Because if that was the case, then I would never go anywhere. And we would never go anywhere. We've already gone through media. But I could talk about TV, internet, music, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, all of these things. I gotta be honest, it's not a bad thing, because I use Facebook, I use Instagram, all these things. It's not a bad thing, but they need to be put in the proper place. Mm-hmm. They need to be put in the proper place to where a lot of times you see people come up, if I just get this video, go viral, or whatever the case may be. Everybody don't have the same taste. What's that lady's name that talk about the fire? What's her name? I can't remember her name.
Oh, Sweet Georgia.
Sweet, yeah. Some people thought she was hideous. Others thought she was the funniest thing on earth. And it served her purpose for a good 15 minutes, maybe 16 minutes. But have you heard from her since then? Did it make anything? So I don't know if it sent her in depression because she got famous for a while. The video was funny, I thought. But, this man right here, he may say, oh, I hate it. It's awful. Why she doing all of this, all this type of stuff. But we can't allow these things like social media and all these things right here to take us to a place, especially at a young age. And all of this is geared towards the youth because you guys are still growing. And see, the thing about, I can tell you as an adult, don't rush to do it. Because as adults, our whole thing is this. We want you to be an adult, but we want you to be what they call a responsible adult. Mm-hmm. You can just grow up, but you can just have a big body and have a little brain. Yeah. And that's not how we do stuff. Because you're gonna really be depressed. You're gonna really be going through all of these things simply because you're not prepared to do what it is that you are wanting to do. And so all of those things are very important when it comes to social media. Be responsible. All right, now this is one right here that's geared towards the parents and the youth. Y'all might agree, and parents, I hope y'all listening. And we want to be a parent. And this is kind of touchy because I think this is something that we grew up in. But my daughter also told me one thing that really could cause depression and stress is freedom of expression with your parents. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean, parents can sometimes misconstrue your anger, your frustration, all of these things with disrespect if there's something that you're trying to say to them. And it's one of those things where we had this thing, well, don't talk to me like that, I'm your mama. I invite my children to say what it is they need to say. All parents are not like me. I deserve dad of the century, but whatever. All parents are not like me. But you know, I've learned growing up, I wasn't able to express myself to my mom nor my dad the way I needed to. And because they always misconstrued what it is that I was feeling as being disrespectful. No, I just need to get it out. And once I get it out, I feel better. And then you still gonna be my dad, you still gonna be my mom, no love lost, but I need to say what I need to say. And I think that we need to, no, I believe that we need to, as parents, allow our children to say what they need to say. They're gonna scream, they're gonna yell. That doesn't take away from your parenting. It doesn't take away from who it is that you are. Nah, it's gonna hurt, but whoever told you that being a parent was gonna feel good in the first place? Because they're not born with an instruction book. God didn't say, okay, this is how you do this one. I'm gonna give you the book in the womb. It doesn't work that way. My daughter, my little sugar mama, that's what I call her, she's my little sweetie. She's 10. She doesn't react to me like my son reacts to me. I could look at him and say, boy, if you don't sit down somewhere, and he sits down. But she got this thing where her hearing stops working sometimes. And so you have to go tune her up a little bit, and then for some strange reason, her hearing starts working perfectly. I don't know where it comes from, but it just works like that. And so we got to stop saying to our children or saying to people, oh, I love all of my children the same. No, you don't, because you can't love them all the same. My oldest daughter, she likes stuff. I have to buy her stuff in order for me to have a relationship with her, the one that I want. My son, he likes to spend time with me. My daughter, she just wants to sit in my lap. And that's their love language. And that's some of the things that I have to do as a dad. I have to recognize that. And I ain't learned that overnight. That came with spending time with these little jokers, knowing what worked. Yeah, he likes for me to buy him stuff, but he would rather go ride with me in my truck or something like that. I hope I'm not wrong by saying that we did. But anyway, and my sugar mama, she loves, I could sit there, I could be sitting there, here she comes. She just mosey on over. She's slick with it too. She just walks slow. She just mosey on over. That she climbing up in my lap. I'm like, if you don't get yourself off me. But I don't reject her in that way because I know that's what she likes. That's what she loves. That's what makes her feel loved by me. And that's how she expresses herself. And even I invite them. I'm like, if there's something on your heart, if there's something on your mind, say it. Because I don't want you to leave here. Because see, as a father, I don't want them to leave my house out of balance. I don't want to leave my presence out of balance because if I have them afraid to talk to me, somebody who's an authoritarian, everybody in their life that's an authority on their life is going to treat them bad. And so we have to allow them, whether it be somebody at work, somebody at school, whatever, we have to allow them to express themselves while they're in the confines of our space. Because we don't want the authority to take advantage of them and as what may seem like a weakness. It's not a weakness. They're just afraid. They're fearful because they were never really able to express their hearts to say, you know what? I got this problem. If my daughter gets a job, I don't want her to be afraid to go to her supervisor to talk about an injustice. Or I don't ever want them to be afraid to go to police to talk about injustice. You know, I don't subscribe that you can't trust all police. That's not true. There's some bad ones out there, just like there's some bad teachers, there's some bad preachers, there's some bad doctors, there's some bad all the way around. But we have to, as parents, allow them to express themselves. Because if they're not expressing themselves, then they're going to do it. They're going to do it one way or the other. And so I would rather for them to do it in a healthy place in the confines of our own home. All right, this was for the parents also. Separation and divorce of parents. My son told me this. Separation and divorce of parents can lead our children into depression and stress. I didn't realize how hard it was until he said it. I've experienced it myself. My parents were divorced, and I know how that feels. You know, God says in Malachi chapter 2 that he hates divorce. And there's no such thing as a clean divorce. I don't care what nobody says. There's not. There's always a ripping and tearing. If I rip this piece of paper, there's no way I can put it back perfectly. I can't put it back the way it was cut. So when we do these things, when we go through these things, I'm not saying stay in a bad relationship because of the children. I was married, I got a divorce, but I wouldn't stay because of my children though. And I didn't realize, like, when you start seeing your daughters or your sons having bad grades, having status issues, having success and failure issues, having media issues, a lot of times it stems from that divorce that you went through. We don't want to accept it, but it's true. Because they're affected, you're ripping apart a family And that causes, he told me, you know, he was like, a lot of times I feel like it was our fault. And like, what could you tell to your child? Like, no, it's not your fault. Huh? How you gonna make them believe it? That's the hardest thing in the world to do. That's what we do. If we go through a divorce, if we go through issues and things like that, we have to recognize that it can happen. Here go another one, number 7. All right, young people, this for you again. Relationships and the S word and lust. Those things can cause depression and stress in your life. If you, or me, or anybody for that matter, do things out of time in your life, you're gonna end up stressed and depressed, simply because if you're not doing it in the safety and the confines of the way God planned it, you're going to get insecure, you're gonna get jealous, you're gonna get all of these things. And it's because you've given the most sacred part of you away to a stranger. You give that part away to you, you can't get it back. You'll never be able to get it back, no matter how hard you try. You'll never get it back. So we have to be careful, young people, that we don't allow things such as porn, having sex too soon, all of these things to cloud our judgment. Because if you're not in the right place up here, you won't be able to handle it right here. And you don't need that at a young age, because you don't want to lose focus. You don't want to lose your passion for the thing that you love. If I seen you love chess all your life and then all of a sudden you get this new girlfriend, you don't like chess anymore, I'm going to start wondering what's happening. I'm going to start asking. I'm going to be direct. Are you doing XYZ with ABC? Because me as a parent, I get in your business. Deep down in your business. I go through phones. I want to know passwords. I want to know it all. I want to know who in your inbox. Because it's my job as a big woolly sheepdog to protect you. And that comes from anywhere. I don't care if the predator is 40 years old and you're 12, if somebody touching you or anything like that, you better tell somebody. Don't make it a secret. And you know, we're in an environment right now where everybody here is brown. And see, we have this thing where we like to keep secrets. Or don't nobody need to know what's going on in my house. Let me tell you something. If somebody's hurt you, you better open up your mouth and say something. I don't care who it is. Because you don't want to carry this for the rest of your life. You don't want to pass this stuff down. We have to stop with this keeping secrets and doing all of these things, because what we're doing is we're raising up people who feel inferior because somebody took advantage of them. And we can't do that. We can't rob them of that part of their lives, because they'll never be able to have a healthy relationship, because they got this dirty spot, this dirty stain that's in their life because somebody took advantage of them in the wrong way. But we have to talk about these things. If you got a girlfriend, y'all can be the same age, and you don't want to do something, don't do it. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with the guilt. You got to live with the shame. And what's going to happen is, I ain't going to lie to you, I wonder, you know, if Adam and Eve, I wonder if they took another bite of the forbidden fruit. Because we all got forbidden fruit. We're not supposed to taste it before time. And so, that I can assure you that forbidden fruit was delicious. It was probably the best thing they had ever had. But they didn't know the poison they had ingested. Because, I mean, I drive a truck, and sometimes I unload freight, and it's always a sweet smell in my truck. And the guy was like, man, this smells so good. I wonder what it is. I said, it could be poison. Like, you know what? Never thought about it like that. Because if you knowingly, nobody will knowingly ingest poison. But I'm telling you, relationships that are out of unhealthy relationships, sex and lust, those things will take, I mean, they're just like, a sword. You're just basically cutting your own head off. Self-esteem issues, identity crisis, and fear and rejection. Going back to the sex thing, if we don't have a healthy sexual relationship in the confines of our marriages, then we're going to experience rejection. We're going to always feel like we're not good enough. And as a father, you know, I messed up, and I told my children, I'm responsible to them. I'm accountable to them. I said, hey, you know what? I messed up, but I don't want this to be your life. I don't want you to have to deal with that rejection, because we want them to think clearly. We want them to think with sense, not with anything else. Parents, y'all know what I'm talking about. We want them to think with their minds. And so when we get into, to avoid this fear, to avoid this rejection and things like that, we have to avoid certain things. Another thing here for the parents, family finances and money can cause stress and depression. If you have a child that's active in school and things like that, want to go on trips, and I'm sorry it's so hot here, y'all. I don't know why, because I'm sweating myself, man. And we go on trips and things like that. They want to go on trips, and they can't go because mom and dad can't afford it. That does something to them. They're going to start thinking that it's something that they're doing. And it's nothing they're doing. It's just a bad season for the family right now. But you can't have a bad season for 25 years, though. You got to get up one day and say, you know what? It's something that I'm doing. It is, and we have to understand that some things are passed down generationally that we don't want to carry on to the next generation. And so, as a family, as a man, it is imperative that we get our finances together so that we can provide for our children properly. Not saying that we got to buy them every pair of Jordans that come out, or every time a new phone comes out, they have to have it, or every time a new PlayStation or Xbox comes out, they got to have it in every game that goes along with it. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, I got this friend. He said, if you want to teach your children something, he said, teach them how not to struggle. I was like, that's deep. I said, that's deep. That makes sense. But, and I understand that sometimes they ingrain this. If that's all we ever saw, that's all you're ever going to get. Like I said earlier, whether you say it or do it, the people that's watching you, they're going to get that. They're going to get struggle. They're going to get pain. They're going to get these things because most of the times, we're dealing with it. We're going through it. And it's unchecked in our lives. So therefore, I can't expect for my children to have a healthy, balanced life if my life is healthy and unbalanced, is unhealthy and unbalanced. So the family finances, I remember, I don't like hearing stories about people saying that, I had to drop out of school that X amount of grade because I had to take care of family. It's not a child's responsibility to take care of of their parent. The Bible tells us when your parent gets old, that's when you take care of them if they're done for you. But as far as now, I told my children they are forbidden from working while in high school, not even during the summer, because I want them to enjoy that time. I had to work in high school. Some parents, they need the help, but it's not right as a parent for me to put that responsibility on their shoulders. It's not. And no matter what it may be, whether it be child support, whatever, that's not their responsibility. It's our responsibility as a parent to take care of them. So therefore, they don't need that stress and depression because it's hard for them to learn in an unbalanced environment, in a hostile environment. If you're always fussing and complaining about, I don't know what I'm going to do about all these bills and all this, how do you expect for the child to grow? They can't, because all they're thinking about is, okay, I live here, I use water, I use lights, I like to eat food. All they're going to think about is bills and all of this type of stuff. And that's not their job. Their job is to just live and grow up properly. That's it. So we have to get it together. All right, this is the last one. And this was kind of controversial, but I'm comfortable saying it. Religion. Religion can absolutely